Good day, folks. This is Judy at Green Pastures Farm. We are in a mud month. This is March 15th or 16th, and we are in the mud. We just got through putting out some bales with that little four-wheeler. We don't have a tractor back in here. I don't think. Well, if you could get it back here, you could be able to track where you went with it. You'd have ruts, probably 1.5 feet deep. But we got the baling roller out, the ATV baling roller. That's the tracks we left right there. That's with the bale jacked up, because these are old bales. The netting was pretty bad shape on them. They'd been stored for 2 years old, so the netting had partially broken down. So you sure don't want to roll them. On new bales, like a year old, or that were just baled in the summer, we leave them on the ground and just roll them until we get into where we want to feed them. But somebody's asking the other day, why didn't we just unroll the bale and run a wire right down the middle of it to keep them off the hay from walking on it? And we tried that last year, and it was a wreck. The cows, believe it or not, they walked right down the windrow of the part that we left exposed. I mean, we only left like maybe 1.5 feet, 2 feet, but they walked it, and they walked the feed right into the ground. And we found if we stack it in little piles like that, they'll gather around it, and they'll get a pretty good share of it. So this is the paddock that they were on yesterday. Last night we put them in here, and they grazed the stockpile off, and it rained. I think we had 3 inches, and then we had another 1.5 inches today, and they're saying maybe 3 to 4 Wednesday in a couple more days. So we're just getting hammered with the rain. And I remember the old adage, I made a promise to myself I'd never, after going through a drought, I said I would never ever wish for it to stop raining again. I'm almost there. Not yet, but I'm almost there. You can see they tore it up around that water tank. We got our rubbers up, but they're still, when it rains like this, you're gonna have some damage around the water point. I'm just glad we have moderate sized cows and not the great big ones. We wouldn't be out here, period. So this is where they're at for 12 hours. And I'm gonna show you what we're gonna put them on tomorrow. We've got some pretty dang nice stockpile up here. I couldn't believe it though. We came up here this morning after it rained all night, and I'm like, man, this paddock's just going to be tore all to pieces. It's going to, what I consider tore all to pieces. Smaller cows. They still weigh 1,000 pounds, and they're on a hoof that's big around as your hand. But they're going to do some damage when it's really soft, or they can if you don't move them. But what I did is I found, it must have been about 7 days ago, I found a period where it didn't rain for 2 days and the wind blew. I was able to get some bales back here. So these are the old 2-year-old bales. That's the last bunch we got there. And we've got some new ones up here in front of them, clear up here by the road. And then we'll be making a cattle drive down the road to another farmer's stockpile. It has some hay placed on it too. But I'm just going to show you. Folks, this is broom sedge and cedars when I bought this farm. And this is a farm that I did buy back in, I'm trying to think, 1996. But look at that. You tell which side the cattle were on today? So they'll be going in here in the morning, and we've got, they're going to get about 4 acres of that, and they're going to need it. Let me back up on that. We're actually going to give them those 4 bales up there in the morning. Down on this area here, they didn't tear it up so bad. And so that'll give us another half a day, and then tomorrow night, they get this. Folks, it's raining, and we're trying to get to April 1st. And if we get to April 1st, we're going to have grass probably 6 to 7, 8 inches tall. And we're going to be home free. The grass is already growing. I mean, it's coming. but it's cold. You know, it gets cold, and so that retards the growth. And then the ground is so saturated, there's no oxygen in it. It's just waterlogged, and so that's slowing up the growth as well. And you get 5 days without the sun shining, that kind of tends to slow up the growth of plants as well, too. But look at here, man. I mean, we've got some beautiful stuff here. So when the cows reach down to grab this with their mouth, they're going to get some of the dry matter, and they're going to get some of the green at the same time. Okay? And it's hard to see the castings in there because the ground's so wet. But they're going to get a good diet. They're not going to get just green. They're going to get some brown. So when you do that, what that brown matter does, it actually helps offset the high protein spring grass. It helps dilute it with this brown and makes the rumen work really well. It's safe to stand behind your cows. You don't get blasted with diarrhea in the spring because the cow pats are stacking up nice. Now, if you don't have this brown matter in there, see, this was grown last fall. So those cows can't reach in here and get them a bite without getting a little bit of the dry matter as well. So we're pretty happy to have this winter stockpile. And you know, it is fescue, folks. And I'm going to tell you what. Somebody asked me, where would you set up a grazing farm if you had the most perfect spot in the world to set one up in the United States? And I'm like, well, first of all, it's going to have to be someplace that gets rain. Well, by God, we're getting rain. And it's going to have to be someplace that grows fescue. And, you know, you can grow whatever you want. I'm gonna graze what's here, and that's Kentucky 31 endophyte infected fescue. You know, if you buy a farm or if you lease a farm that's got the novel endophyte, you know, more power to you. I hope you get along good with it. I'm sure the cows will do good on it. It's just kind of expensive to get started. You might go broke before you ever get any cows on your farm. Terribly expensive. And there's no guarantee it'll stay there either. Not with severe grazing like this. So in Missouri in March, what are you going to put your cows on? Fescue. So where's the perfect place to set up a grazing operation? Let me go on with that. I think you need to have a few hills. You know, you can see this has got some hills in it. So when it does rain, you get some drainage off the hills. The water can, you know, in other words, if it's completely flat like a prairie, you're pretty much sunk. That water, it can't get away. It's going to sit there and it's going to be a mud pit. But when the water can get away, you'll get a little pugging, but you're not going to destroy the farm. And you move them. You know, you get them moved. So we moved them off of that, what they're on today. They're back in the previous paddock. You can see they're in the line. They didn't mud it so bad. Okay. And I have to apologize, folks. My gimbal, I brought it out tonight. And I guess the battery, you know, that's the thing about technology. It works great when it works, but when it doesn't work, it leaves you high and dry. I guess the battery is dead. I couldn't get it to fire up, so sorry. It's not going to be as smooth as it has been the video tonight. But yeah, so the perfect spot to me would be rainfall. I don't have to irrigate. I don't want severe winters. In other words, I don't want 4 foot of snow. I don't want 40 below zero. I want to have access to fescue. I don't want excessively hot summers. Not being picky, am I? I mean, you told me to pick. That's what I'm picking. So I'm going to pick, you know, central part of the United States. Maybe all the way to Virginia. I mean, my God, Virginia's got some awful pretty ground. The problem with Virginia is it's got a lot of people out there, and land's expensive. So you got to go where, you know, there's not so many people you can get on the land. You can't go out here and give $10,000 to $20,000 an acre for land and set up a grazing operation unless you're a millionaire, and most of us aren't. So, you know, you got to go where land's accessible. And I just want to give everybody a shout out. I want to thank everybody, all the new subscribers. Our channel is growing, and thank you all for that. And if you like what you're seeing, hit that subscribe button when you're done. And everybody just, you know, stay safe. I know this is kind of a trying time for everyone. You know, this virus is going around the United States. And, you know, just, I had a guy the other day, I thought it was a great quote. And, you know, he was out with his cows on top of a mountain. The cows are grazing out in front of him. And he goes, you know, he said, I'm sitting out here away from everybody up on this hill with my cows. And he called it his 401 cow. I loved it. Instead of his 401k, he said, you know, took some of his money out of his 401k and made a 401 cow. So, you know, there's something to be said for food security. You can eat these things and you can heal the land and you can do all this without hardly any fossil fuel. So, you know, you've got a big fat 401k, or you did have before things kind of went down the other direction, it's pretty safe. I mean, you know, land and cows, and at the end of the day, by God, you can raise food on it and you can eat it. And it's not going anywhere. I mean, if the stock market crashes, you still got your land and you can raise food for you and your family on it. You have a place to live and there's fuel out here. Cut you some wood over there and put in your wood stove, stay warm in the winter. There's a lot to be said for getting back on the land, and I am getting inundated with people doing it. I'm loving it. I think there's a huge push to get back on the land, and I understand why. So for those of you all who are on the fence, maybe think about that 401 cow. Thank you. You know who he knows who I'm talking about out in Virginia. Neat guy, Chuck. And yeah, I thought that was awesome. So I'm going to sign off on a beautiful, wet spring, late spring, early spring. It's not even spring yet. The leaves aren't out. But the turkeys are starting to gobble. The birds are all back. The red-winged blackbirds. The buzzards are back. The peepers are peeping. The clover's starting to grow. The fescue's cranking. It's just not going to take too long before that fescue's going to be up here. So I'm a happy camper that we're about 2 weeks away from spring, and I can just feel it coming at us. So with that, everybody, stay safe, and we'll see you down the road, and everyone have a great evening.